want to give you a little bit of an update on Florida Mania here in 2021 because it is just getting a little bit more interesting as we go on. First and foremost, we talked about it last week. The Sunshine State Karting Challenge was going to be going to Orlando Kart Center, and it ended up visiting there just over the weekend. And so there was a couple of notes about that we wanted to touch on. So first here with Orlando Kart Center, you can see just to the side of me, the layout. This is a drone shot actually from the race weekend and what the parking looked like with about 150 entries. And we'll talk a little more with SSKC in a moment. We'll have the winners actually coming across the screen and go in depth a little bit there. It was a good turnout for those guys. But Orlando Kart Center is a track that has hosted Florida Winter Tours in the past. And for a good bit of time, the majority of that parking lot and pit space was rented out to a trucking company. That since has been cleared out. He's also actually got even a little bit more space at the back of the area highlighted up there. So that is an additional 3 acres kind of spread out long ways. That could be about another 2 rows of paddock space he's going to have in January of 2022. So he's trying to prep himself, Andre Martins and the Orlando Kart Center team to host big racing there again. Everyone seems to like it. As you can see from just the overhead layout of the racetrack, it looks like a proper racetrack. You know, it's got grass on all sides, most sides. And from a track that started as almost a temporary looking track with cones in 2011, 2010, it's got nice curbing. It's got the grass around it. It doesn't have runoff every single place, but it's got a lot of room. And the Orlando Kart Center hosted SSKC, which is kind of like a teaser towards bigger series. It's a regional series, but a pretty strong one at about 150 entries, which was the size of some of the last Florida Winter Tours of this year. Not the first one, but the second and third, I think, hovered around the 130 to 175 mark. So if ROK Winter Tour wants to go there, I think especially if you look towards the back half of that paddock where you're going to have that extra bit of space added on in January for the ROK Cup guys, that's an option. SKUSA and Orlando Kart Center have never really gotten along. I don't think you'll see SKUSA Winter Series go there. And then, you know, we don't know on the rest of the dates for that 2022 national schedule. But to go through on the other tracks, because we didn't really give Jacksonville the most love, but we gave them the most spotlight last week. So going over Jacksonville, as it loads up, right, we talked about the safety aspect, and really, you know, that's a big thing with the drivers that groans whenever we go there. But more than anything, the biggest issue is that the track's really easy. You know, it's got really banked turns. Everyone's going to be packed up, and at a national race, 40 drivers are within half a second on a hard track. So let's go through the rest of the tracks. Jacksonville, at least, is a purpose-built racetrack, and on top of that, it has the parking space to work to host a big event. When you look at the other tracks around, here is AMR Motorplex in Homestead. This is a shot from a SKUSA Winter Series event back in 2019, I believe. You can see how much pit space they've got because they have all the NASCAR parking lots behind them. But the one downside that people don't like running there, of course, is the curbing at the outside of the racetrack. So because there's just pavement, and it's proper pavement on either side, both on the racing surface and off it, a lot of guys don't necessarily love going there. But the good part is now, over the last few years, it's had a management company has been trying to work on it with the same guys who own GoPro Motorplex. So every year they've added something a little bit different to try and combat the curbing, whether it's shaping the curbs down, taking them out, adding extra curbs in the runoff to slow them down. I've always thought it'd be really cool if they could take the grass patches and maybe put more of those there, but that's tough because they do use that parking lot for the NASCAR race. We go to some of the other tracks in Florida, moving on around here. Actually right there, sorry, wrong one. This is Monticello karting we talked about, and this is probably everyone's favorite Florida track because it's a really nice piece of asphalt. It was actually designed by Juan Pablo Montoya's father. The downside is that's all that's there. It is in the swamp in the panhandle of Florida. It's about 30 minutes north or 30 minutes away from the closest hotel, and you can see it. There's literally just a tent over there for the scoring tower. There is no facilities at all, and you're in the swampland of Florida. So the pit space being grass can get a little bit nasty, and it gets really hot up there in the summer. Doesn't have a breeze, but the track is beautiful. It doesn't have a huge club following. It's probably got the smallest club following out of everyone. Jacksonville is a decent one, mainly 4-stroke. AMR Homestead has a really good club following. They're at almost 150 entries for their club races nowadays. And then Orlando Kart Center is rebuilding. It's centrally located. And like we talked about with Orlando, there's a lot of room to grow there with the new paddock space in the back section, along with the track being a pretty good and technical racetrack. So where everybody goes in Florida, if they stay in Florida Winter Series, that's kind of all the tracks that are on the table if they don't go anywhere temporary. And of course, we've talked about AMR Motorplex that hosted both SKUSA Winter Series rounds the last few years. It's not confirmed to do any of that. They don't have any contracts in place for 2022, but we're still way out, and that could easily change, and they could go back to Homestead for back-to-back races with SKUSA and ROK. They've done two temporary tracks and the recently closed Ocala Grand Prix, so that's all up in the air, and we'll see. But